Hi, we're going to talk about corporate level strategy next. So we've talked about business level strategy and our competitive viewpoint and analysis of the world within which we work. So now we're going to focus on a higher level corporate level strategy and what that looks like. We'll talk about it in several different ways. So first of all, what we're talking about is actions that a firm takes to gain a competitive advantage by selecting and managing a group of different businesses that are competing in different product markets. So we're really talking about how do we, as an organization, help our organization to diversify our operations from a single business competing in a single market into several product markets and businesses. And we can do that in many ways, really helping the company to select new strategic positions that are expected to increase our firm's values, obviously, and is expected to help the firm earn above average returns. So a firm can have more than one type of business level strategy operating within its portfolio of businesses. An effective corporate level strategy creates across all of the organization's businesses aggregate returns that exceed what those returns would be without that strategy and contribute to the firm's strategic competitiveness to increase our above average returns. And we can diversify in many ways. We can look at a product diversification. So the scope of the markets and industries where our firm competes, what other products are out there? Can we diversify ours? When I had Spicy Guys, one of the things I thought about was selling the seasoning that went on those pretzels. So instead of just a snack food, I could have sold spices, or I could have sold other products. And that's a small look at product diversification. And we can look at, so business level strategy is really about the competitive nature of our industry. Each business unit in a diversified firm chooses their own business level strategy as a means to compete in those product markets. At a corporate level, then we take actions by the firm to gain a competitive advantage by selecting and managing what those businesses are, how they will compete, and what in different product markets. So there are different levels of diversification that a firm can look at, and there are five that your book talks about. So there are low levels of diversification. I can buy a single business. I can buy a dominant business, one more dominant than me, or be acquired by them. Either way, I can have moderate to high levels of diversification, which are, we'll talk about constrained diversification and related linked diversification, and then very high levels of diversification where it's really unrelated. I'm buying a company that's totally unrelated to me, as examples. So let's talk about what those are. This is a great example. So in a single low-level diversification, I have one business. I had Spicy Guys, company A, that was it. And I can be merged, acquired, etc., into or of a dominant business where 70 to 95% of all of our revenue come from that single business. And that might still be A, but so with Spicy Guys, maybe I bought the spice company that provided me spices, but they only but 70 to 95% of my business came from selling pretzels and not selling spices, as an example. Moderate to high levels of diversification. Related constraint is when less than 70% of our revenues come from the dominant business, and all businesses share product, technology, and distribution linkages. So I'm actually integrating now. So we're related, but we're constrained because we're sharing our product, our resources, etc. And then we can also link where 70% of our revenue comes from those dominant businesses, but only limited links between those businesses. I don't share everything. I don't share space. I don't share resources. Or very unrelated, where I own several businesses, but they're very separate. I had Spicy Guys and I had a consulting company, extremely different businesses. There was no common links between them. as an example. So there are two types of strategies in a firm with a low level of diversification. The firm generates, I already talked about this. So another example of the same thing, single business or a dominant business. And again, the related constraint or related links where the organization is either sharing resources or sharing some resources, and then unrelated where we're not related at all. So reasons for diversification include these three. Economies of scope. I'm going to diversify if I could share activities and make that cheaper. If I merge with a company that makes a product similar to mine, if I'm Spicy Guys, maybe I can get certain spices. I can get certain resources at a cheaper rate because I diversify and actually share activities. Maybe maybe they have a faster way of making a similar product and their core competency is one I want to benefit from. Market power is when we combine together, vertically integrate with our competitors in order to block outside competition. And then financial economies are where we're really creating efficiencies through our resources, our capital investments, our business, our restructuring. I could share things like accounting departments, legal departments. I can share operations. So there's ways to create financial economies. There's also value neutral diversification where I don't gain all of those economies of scale necessarily, but it protects me from something bad happening. So it can reduce maybe risks that the CEO has, or it reduced risks of my space within the marketplace to increase, to reduce risk, but not really add value to my bottom line. That would be value neutral diversification. And value reducing diversification is really where I'm going to diversify all of my risk and increase managerial compensation. So I'm actually bringing value into the organization to maybe my CEO and my executives to protect the organization in some way, but the value is actually kind of takes a hit within the organizations. Synergy is really important when we talk about diversification. It's what we ought to look at. Is there synergy between these two organizations? Do I get economy of scale? Can I buy things cheaper? Can I save money? Can I increase my market power? Can I reallocate my capital resources? Can I improve where I have low performance and share core competencies with someone else to improve their low performance so that we're both stronger to be better? Many reasons for diversification. And then we'll talk about value creating diversifications. There's two ways to look at this. One is operational relatedness. This is where firms that operate in multiple industries or product markets have an economy of scope. They might represent cost savings in certain ways. And the difference between activity sharing and core competency sharing is based on how different the resources are used to jointly create the economy of scope. So tangible resources like plant equipment or other business unit physical assets can be shared, but less tangible resources like intellect, knowledge about how to manufacture, kind of our intellectual knowledge within the organization can also be shared. A key to creating value through sharing really is to separate activities where and to bring them together, or to bring them together when we can share know-how or skills and physical or tangible resources. So corporate relatedness provides opportunities for transferring that corporate level competencies across firms, and operational relatedness is when we share resources and activities within the organization. So activities is operations, and corporate relatedness is linking different businesses. Market power exists when we can sell at a higher level, we can gain more market share, we have more market power. And vertical integration refers to a firm, actually backwards integration. So vertically means if you look at the supply chain, I produce my own inputs. So maybe I, instead of buying a pre-made spice mix, I now make it myself within my own organization, or um, um, I acquire the company that made them. Either way, forward integration is when I maybe create my own distribution system. So I distributed Spicy Guys on my own with an employee. Eventually, I went to a distributor and I looked at whether I should buy that distributor so that he was more sold. If he was really good in the same market I was in, maybe it makes sense for me to buy him and have him be incentivized differently to sell my product and then other products as well. So that would be forward integration. Backward is closer to the top of the supply chain of the raw goods, and forward integration is closer to the customer and how we get our product or service to market. It can be difficult for competitors to understand and imitate things that we do, and can be inexpensive. So sometimes integration is really valuable for both parties. So we create value through unrelated diversification where we have nothing related to each other, but we can see financial economies, and it might be through our financial resources. Maybe the consulting firm provides resources and knowledge base to the pretzel company, but we can do it based on sharing our internal resources through contracts or relationships, although we're in very different markets, as an example. And we have this figure illustrates that firms that experience low performance in their dominant business often can implement related constrained diversification strategies that to a certain point result in increased performance. So I can share resources and see a higher performance. That's really what we're trying to accomplish always, is create more value. And we can continue to in that related space, but in unrelated businesses, we might actually see no improvement in resources. So we need to be careful of that and watch for that. So that's in a really kind of a nutshell, the idea around corporate level strategies and diversification.